YouTube, what's going on, what's happening? As always, I am Hadou Kid, and I'm excited for today's video, y'all. So I found this tier list online, and it is maps from Gears 1, very first Gears. And say what you will about the first three, what's your favorite or what's maybe second or third, but Gears 1 will always hold a special place in my heart because it started off the series. It introduced what we know now, which was never seen before, and yeah, I'm just excited to get into this. So I'm gonna walk through these, try to talk a little bit about each of them, and let you know where I rank them. So let's just get right into it. All right, so I think these go in alphabetical order. So what do you got first? Bullet Marsh. To start off with Bullet Marsh, that wasn't my favorite map, to be honest. And I think it's partially because, I mean, one is dark. It's like super dark, and the weapons are okay and stuff, but like the whole aspect of the krill, I thought it was interesting. You know, there are a couple maps throughout Gears that have environmental aspects to them, but I wasn't the biggest fan of the krill in general. They were kind of annoying, and again, this map had interesting, you know, concepts to it, but it just wasn't my favorite. I think I might start off with a C. Of course, I can change any of these around later. We'll come back to them. But yeah, I think I'm gonna start off with Bullet Marsh at a C. But next up, we got Canals. Canals is one that actually is still available today. They've made it part of Gears 5's map rotation also. And I used to love Canals. I still love Canals, to be honest. You got snipers on both ends, torque in the middle. You know, you got nades in the middle up top. It's just a good symmetry. So whether you're playing just casually, more for fun, or you're playing more serious and like a competitive environment, I think it offers, I mean, good weapon placement, just again, good map symmetry, and I don't know, it's just fun. I love running to the sniper because I like to snipe. I love running to the sniper, trying to get there for the other guy and seeing who can pop the other person's head first. And in general, just I don't there's a reason it's been around for so long, and Canals is definitely one of the GOATs if you ask me. So do I put it at S or A is my question. I want to put it at A for now. I know it's one of those things where probably you just can't rank a 10 out of 10 when you first start, but I'm gonna just see where we go from here because there's a couple of them that I actually like a lot as I look through them. So we'll leave Canals at A for now, but again, all around good map. I like the weapons, I like the setup, so I'm gonna leave it at A. All right, Clocktower, another map that they brought back. I think there's a trend that they bring back the fan favorites, maybe not always, but for the most part, the ones that we tend to gravitate more to, I think they've recreated and brought back. So you look at Clocktower. I mean, I like Clocktower too. I don't know what the general consensus is on Clocktower, but I'm a fan of Clocktower. Again, starting on both sides of the map. There's only one sniper, which again I like to push when boom isn't a problem. But you got sniper at the top, you got boom on the other side, nades kind of center. It's an interesting one, especially when you're playing kind of serious. You know, I'm not competitive by any means in that realm of Gears, but just when you're trying to win and you're trying to get the early advantage, you know, pushing boom versus pushing snipe, how you break up the teams. I tend to like Clocktower a lot. I guess the only thing I'll say is it does seem like you can get kind of an advantage if you don't have a great team and you can definitely spawn camp some people in Clocktower. That's not like something that I think a whole lot of people do, but it's just one of those things where I don't know, it's happened to me quite a few times, but I wouldn't, you know, you can do that anywhere, I guess. So where would I put Clocktower? It's giving me that same Canals vibe. I don't know if I can put Clocktower at S. That's kind of my problem. I don't think people like Clocktower enough for S. Yeah, I'm gonna put it at A also. This S is gonna be tough for me. There's one I'm looking at specific that I really like. And y'all have to let me know if y'all agree. But for right now, I'm gonna leave Clocktower at A. Escalation. So this is an interesting one. They didn't bring this one back. I think I know why, but Escalation, it's an iconic map to me. When I played the original Gears, this map was always coming through the rotation. Like I played Escalation a bunch of times. The problem with Escalation is, if you don't know, Escalation is exactly how it sounds. There was a team that started at the bottom of the map and a team that started at the top of the map. And I can't recall enough if there was enough of a setup to really help you weapon-wise, but what I will say, I think there was a sniper at the top and the bottom, so for what it's worth. But it just felt like you were at a disadvantage, in my opinion, if you were at the bottom of the map. I mean, you know what they say about the high ground, right? This one, again, it wasn't symmetrical in a vertical perspective. So sometimes I'd end up at the top and I was just getting messed up from the bottom. You know, I'm not the best player out there, and then sometimes I was at the bottom and I felt like I was just getting constant headshotted from the top. So I don't know. I feel like this map favored a team depending on the composition of the team and kind of where you started. So Escalation, I'm between a B or a C right now. I gotta put it at a C. I just remember the feeling of getting Escalation and being like, damn, I wish I would had another map. And that kind of, I feel like there's a level of B where some other maps are gonna fall. And I don't know if I can put Escalation there, but let me know if y'all like Escalation. It's not that I didn't like it, but again, if I didn't have a good team or if I just wasn't starting it, you did rotate, I'll say this, you did rotate top and bottom. It wasn't like you were always at the bottom of the map going up and always at the top of the map going down, but it didn't do it for me. So for that reason, I'm gonna leave it at C for now. Fuel Depot. So let's do this. I don't know if y'all agree or not. Fuel Depot is just one of my favorite maps in Gears history. This is a map in opposition to Escalation. When I used to get Fuel Depot, I used to be happy. Again, good composition. You got the snipers on both ends and the trucks. You know, you got the power weapon on the inside and the building. And there's a good composition of just, you know, outside where you can have good firefights and then also just cover. Again, you got trucks in there. You got the inside, which if you play the cover right, you know, you could survive and get some multi-kills if you were good. It was just overall, it had a good composition of stuff. The thing I can take away from it, I wasn't a fan, because I got blown up a lot. I wasn't a fan of being able to blow up the gas station. I thought it was cool, don't get me wrong. This is kind of probably me just hating because I used to die a lot to this. But talking to the same kind of environmental aspect of like Bullet Marsh, it was the thing where there was a gas station, you know, on the side, and if you shot at that and somebody was near it, you could blow up and die. You know, it wasn't my favorite, but yeah, Fuel Depot, it's just a classic, and they didn't bring it back for Gears 5. I think they brought it back for Gears 4, but it's just one that I always was happy to get. And whether you picked up the sniper or whether you were just duking it out with shotgun battles, it's just one of my favorites. So I'm gonna put Fuel Depot at S. First S of the day. Garden. You talk about environmental aspects. So Garden was a map where they were shooting like toxic pesticides out from inside of the garden areas. So this map is not very memorable. The only thing I remember about this map, if I can be honest, you have to press a button to turn off the toxic gases. I just remember in any occasion just always trying to run through the gas to see if I could make it before my person died. It was like serious matches we were in, and I'm over here just trying to see how good of a gamer I can be timing wise. That's probably a me problem. But yeah, I mean, Garden was okay, but I don't know. Again, the environmental thing in this instance definitely didn't do it for me. The Hammer of Dawn was on this map. There were a couple maps that they included the Hammer of Dawn in multiplayer, and it just didn't. I'm not a fan of the Hammer of Dawn in multiplayer just because of how slow it takes. I mean, I like the gun, but here it always seemed like similar to Escalation, not in the vertical level, but like if you just didn't have a good team, they could just push up on you wherever you were in the map, and it was just over with. The only positive I can take away from this map is it felt really good when you made it through them gases. It's hard to give it an F. I don't like that it skips D and goes straight to F. I'm gonna put Garden at F though. So Again, I know I can rearrange it. So I don't know if any Gears 1 map. Let me look. I changed my mind. There are some F maps in this list. Maybe one. We'll get there. But because there's no D tier, I'm gonna leave it at F. Gridlock. All right, Gridlock. I'm sure y'all all know Gridlock. If you've ever played a Gears game, you probably played on Gridlock. This map has made it, I think, in just about every Gear game ever. I don't know about Judgment. I can't remember what maps Judgment. I think Judgment just did its own thing. But I feel like people at this point either love or hate Gridlock, because I remember when they first brought it back and it was like, oh, Gridlock, it was from the original games. It's so cool. But it's almost like a song you hear on the radio. And when you hear it too much, you're like, oh, Gridlock. Like, I really don't want to play on Gridlock right now. Yeah. And like, this is another one where if you're with a bad team, like, you really got to coordinate on this map, I feel like. Because if you lose the fight at the power weapon, like the boom, and you lose the sniper, and they're both like, they got good people on the team who know how to use it, like, it's kind of a wrap, starting off at least. And it's really hard, I feel like, to take an advantage in Gridlock from that perspective, because you can just get bodied throughout the map if you don't start off with a good lead early. I feel the nostalgia wanting me to put it really high, but I feel like for Gridlock, I'm gonna have to put it at a B. Okay, I want to put it at A. I don't think Gridlock is an S. I want to put it at an A, just because again, this is the core of Gears. You know what I mean? But I don't enjoy playing on Gridlock as much as I do on Canals or Clocktower. So for that reason, I'm gonna leave it at a B. Mansion. Okay, so I really like Mansion. It's one of those that I think they brought back in Gears 4, but not in Gears 5. This was another one kind of like Fuel Depot, where this one had a lot more inside battles, because again, you're in a mansion. So there were levels to this one, I'll say. So, you know, whether you're upstairs, downstairs, you couldn't like jump over stuff like you could in the newer Gears. But just there were levels to it which made, you know, cover-based combat more important. And then again, that power weapon was really important when you got the boom out in the garden area. I feel like that was an important one that you just had to capitalize on, specifically on this map. They did have like a sniper at the top, but this was kind of where maybe it didn't shine as much. If you're a good sniper, you can snipe anywhere. But in Mansion specifically, I feel like because there's so much cover and there's so many close quarter spaces, if you weren't a good sniper, then it wasn't really an advantageous level to snipe on. You know, torque is a little different because you got just the different ways that the torque works, where you can shoot the ground and kill somebody, or you don't even have to get a headshot, you know, there's splash damage. But Mansion, man, it's hard because I want to give all of these high ones because of nostalgia. There we go. But I'm gonna put Mansion at a B. Looking at these, comparing, I think Mansion stays at a B. It may change it later, but Mansion, I'm feeling B right now. Mausoleum, I remember this one. I don't remember how many Gears games made it back to this one, but this was one I remember it, and at times I wanted it to come back, but I don't think it's my favorite. You had some, you know, indoor kind. I don't want to say it was too big, because I don't know if that's exactly the problem I'm thinking of. But especially if you were, I remember playing Execution or Warzone on Mausoleum a lot back in Gears 1. And if it was especially like 1v1, just trying to find the other person took forever. There's a lot of corridors, a lot of just, I mean, it's a Mausoleum, so you got a lot of different, you know, graves and, you know, different things set up. Like, it just was hard to find people in this map. There could be whole battles going on the other side of the map, and you're like, where is everybody? And like the spawn area, I wasn't a fan of either. Just this one, it didn't really do it for me. Thinking about it brings me back to Gears 1, which again brings up the nostalgic joy of playing Gears 1. But as a map, it wasn't my favorite. So I think I'm gonna put it at C, and that's only because Gridlock and Mansion, I don't think I would have preferred to play Gridlock or Mansion before I played Mausoleum, and that's just me. Old Bones. Water break. Old Bones. I don't remember how many Gears games this one made it to, but I liked Old Bones. And I really got to think about this. It's been a while since I played on this map. Again, there was a nice amount of just indoor battles that happened. The outdoor, that one was kind of tough because the weapons, I felt like the distance between, this is where I think the symmetry came into play, where you went outside of the spawn area, you went outside, you know, there were, you know, the power weapons on the side and then one kind of tucked in. This was also another one where it felt like you had to kind of, there was only one avenue through the spawn to get to those weapons. So I liked the outdoor battles that I had and such, but that was really the only area I felt like I could have a good one. And trying to get to the other side, you really had to cross through the middle. And I guess what I'm trying to say is there's another one where, again, if your team just didn't get these weapons up front, then it wasn't going to be a fun rest of that round or rest of that match. I don't know what the general consensus is on Old Bones. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about Old Bones, because I never really got a gauge as I was playing if other people liked it or didn't like it. It was just one of those that came up and, you know, we were just playing through it. And like I said, I remember having good matches on Old Bones, but it just doesn't, in the same way, it isn't super memorable to me. I wouldn't call it an F because, again, it's not memorable, but this is where like maybe something not C level would have worked, like maybe a little between C and F. But I think I'm gonna put Old Bones at C. This is probably the first one I'm not super sure on, but again, it's not a very memorable map in general. Jeez. In general, I almost feel like it's between B and C. I would have rather played Old Bones than these maps, but it's not at the same level of Gridlock and Mansion. And I don't want to start adding in B plus, C minus, or B minus, C plus and stuff like that. So we'll leave it at C. Process, I don't remember a lot about Process. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just remember I didn't like it. This was one that you would get it, and it was another one of those where it was like, man, I really wish I didn't have to play on this map. It wasn't a map you chose if you set up a custom lobby. It just was one of those maps you played on and you left. I don't really have a lot to say about this one. I'm gonna put it F because this is the one when I told you earlier I saw probably an F. This one just didn't tickle my fancy. It never really made me want to play on it, and every time I played on it, I wish I wasn't. So this was probably my least favorite map of the bunch. So we'll leave it at F. Raven Down. I remember when I played Gears 1 and the other Gears games that Raven Down came back into, and I feel like I didn't like Raven Down a lot. Again, I don't know if it was just the teams I had, because Raven Down was basically, there was a Raven helicopter down in the middle of the map, and you would start, you know, basically like they kind of broke it up. Like if you think about the blades of a helicopter, you know, you got the four, I can't do this with my own hand, the 4 quadrants. So you and your teammates should start off in 2 of the quadrants, and then the same thing for the other side. So in my mind, the biggest thing was trying to coordinate how to get everybody together and push from there. So in a way that was interesting, but in another way it was kind of annoying, because again, I was getting rolled by really good teams if I didn't have a really good team, but on the other side, if you had a good team, it was fun. But it was definitely interesting and a different concept, I think, than all of the other Gears maps. So when I think about Raven Down, I know Raven Down, from what I've seen in the Gears community, is a really like requested map to come back. I'm really surprised it hasn't as much, because I've seen it come up in forums a few times. For me, Raven Down was okay. It kind of depended on the team you played on, which I'm not trying to hold too much against this map, because it's true for any map. If you're on a bad team, you're probably gonna lose. But Raven Down, if I had to put it somewhere, the question now, I have to compare to other maps. Do I like Raven Down more than Mansion? I don't like Raven Down more than these two. That's just me. So I wouldn't put it at A. It's really between B and C. I think I'll put it at B. Again, I know how much people actually kind of like this map, and for me, when I did have a good match, it was kind of rewarding, you know, to play. It was fun regardless, even if you got rolled. Like it was fun to try to, you know, just coordinate. So I'll leave Raven down at a B. I think that's a good place for it. Rooftops. This one's a tricky one too, because I don't know if this one came back much. It didn't come back in Gears 5 for sure. And it was another one of those maps that had the Hammer of Dawn, so a lot of people didn't like it. I'll say, I mean, the symmetry of it kind of had levels to it too, so that was one thing. The symmetry was decent. You know, it started on both sides. You can get, you know, the sniper or the torque or whatever. But this one, I think the levels kind of was a downside, and this is why a lot of people didn't like this one. There was a lot of, you know, getting up and down from ledges, and you kind of had to do that in a lot of instances in order to progress. But especially if somebody had a Hammer of Dawn, and like the splash damage on the Hammer of Dawn was stupid. So if you had a Hammer of Dawn, or if you had good snipers or people with a torque on the other side, it was really tricky to even trying to push forward in the map, because you were probably gonna die. Especially if somebody's kind of posted up, like in the they had this one section where you come up over the ledge, and then there's like a building on each side, or like a little hut, and you could be on top of the hut and kind of in cover, and you could just not know somebody's there, and you poke your head out, and it's like, surprise. So what am I trying to say? Long story short, wasn't my favorite, but it was also a part of some very funny and fun matches for me. So if I'm just being real, Rooftops is probably, do I put it here? I don't think I can put Rooftops on the same level as Gridlock. It's probably more likely in the middle of C and B, but I'm gonna put it at a C for now. Even as I look at the C's, like these aren't like, these maps are better than some maps in the newer games in my opinion. But for right now, Rooftop C. Subway. Subway is another one. I liked Subway, but I used to hate when I would lose on Subway. Subway was a big map. I feel like this was a big map. I don't know the exact sizes and comparisons for each of them, but Subway, it was one of those again where like, if you didn't know where somebody else was and it was a 1v1, if you had to like check the whole upstairs, then if you couldn't find nobody there, you'd have to go downstairs into the subway, look for people and stuff. It was one of those where it was like, man, this map is too big. I really don't want to deal with this. But I enjoyed kind of the aspect of like where they placed the weapons in Subway. It was another one of those where I felt like you kind of had to push more of the middle. I don't remember it being kind of set up equally across both spawns. At least with the good weapons, you definitely had to kind of push the middle. So Subway, I didn't mind it. I don't think Subway it's not an F. I don't think that's kind of harsh. This is one, I don't know what the community feeling is about Subway. I don't think I can put it at the C level with these, because I enjoyed Subway. So I'm gonna put Subway at a B. You know, getting in and out of the subway cars wasn't super fun either. It was kind of like the same cumbersome experience as Rooftops, getting up and down ledges. But I mean, they gave you enough room to snipe or torque if you had it. You know, and then in a coordinated effort, I think your team was better set up to get a good, nice win than if you were on like a Rooftops or something like that. So I'm gonna leave Subway at B. Tyro Station. Tyro Station is another just iconic Gears map, if you ask me. Yeah, this one just brings me back again. So you can, this one had the train, you know, aspect of it. So there was a train in the middle, and from an environmental standpoint, I know I sound like I'm kind of back and forth on whether I like it or not. I think it does depend, but this was such a fun map. I'm not gonna lie, this was a fun map. You know, when you got high up enough from below in your spawn, you had weapons on both sides. They had a staircase in the middle you can go down, or you can come up from if you're in the bottom. I just like the variety of different directions you can go, having to watch your flank, because you could push and spawn, but if somebody on the other team pushes down through the middle, they can come up, blow your whole team out from the back. And I like Tyro Station in a lot of areas. And if you got caught by the train, it was just kind of like, dang, that sucks. But like, I don't feel like the train really inhibited a lot. And again, when the train's passing through, it's like you gotta wait, you gotta think about when to shoot, when not to shoot. And especially if you had the torque bows, it just made for really tense, interesting battles across the platform. So I like Tyro Station. Oh man, I've only given one S today. I'm gonna put Tyro Station, this is getting tricky now. I like these two maps. Do I put it A or do I put it S? I really want to think about this one because Tyro Station is one. It's definitely not lower than an A. But when you get in the S and A, I feel like there's a lot of different things you can. I don't think there's a lot of people who just hate Tyro Station. But at the same time, again, S is the best of the best. Right now, there's only Fuel Depot up there. So is Tyro Station as good as Fuel Depot? And that's not as easy as I thought it would be the answer. Now I'm looking at all of these. Is Tyro Station better than Canals? That's a better question. I'm gonna put it at A. I'll come back to it. But I'm gonna leave it at A with Canals and Clocktower. I think that's where it'll stay for now. War Machine, last but not least, because it's not going in F. War Machine was very fun, and they brought it back in a lot of Gears games for good reason. It's, again, good symmetry. You have like an upper level and a lower level. It was kind of like Gridlock in that aspect. Like you can go one way and get down. But now that I think about it, the part of War Machine I didn't like was getting up and down from the platforms. I didn't feel like it was. I felt like it was not as big of a hindrance though. Like if you went and pushed the low power weapon, which was like sniper or torque or whatever, like maybe boom. Like when you were to push that power weapon, obviously like that, the one thing that sucked is if you pushed and the other team pushed and you really wanted to have a good shotgun battle, you had to decide whether you're going to jump down. Because if you're going to jump down, you do have to do the animation to get back up, and then you can't shoot while you're doing that. So that part of it kind of sucked. But again, it just kind of made it more strategic as to how you want to play it. Do you want to go down there? Do you push up top? Because up top, if you know, they had the stupid Gatling gun thing up there, the Troika, and I don't know. I felt like you were just. I never felt like. I can't think back to see if whether or not I felt like that was a game changer or not. When I played, a lot of people didn't just instinctively hop on the Troika. They did it a lot, don't get me wrong, but I never felt like it changed the tide of a match. It just would get like a lot of kills and it'd be annoying, and then eventually we'd take that dude out and it was like, all right, well, whatever. But War Machine, I like the symmetry, and I liked even like the little spawn room. I like that it's compact, but it gives you kind of a chance for a comeback. And what I mean by that is, I remember I would be the last person alive sometimes, and when you went back to spawn and you were up in that little room, you know, you go up the stairs, I felt like if you really played it right, you could like pull a whole reversal and maybe not take out the whole team, but if it was like 1v2, 1v3 and they didn't play coming up, you know, the right way, there was enough maneuvering, enough walls to bounce off of that you could definitely, you know, pull off a comeback. So I'm a fan of War Machine, if you can't tell. Question is, where does it land in the spectrum of all of these other iconic maps? Would I rather play War Machine than Gridlock, or Mansion, or Raven Down, or Subway? If you ask me personally, the answer is yes. So then you put it up here at A. And as I think about it, let me just take a moment, assess, scan, think. I like that as far as it being A. So I think I'm going to leave it at A. So this brings us to the end of the list. And as I look through these, let me just take a quick look again. I feel like the only thing I'm really looking at now, again, is whether any of the A tiers move to S. Because I super enjoy all of these. Very great maps. These I enjoy, but again, like I wouldn't be mad if I didn't play them, or like I want to play a lot of these before I played here. These I would rather not play on. I don't think these needed to exist. So when I scope it up like that, I think this list makes a lot of sense to me. I think I'm gonna do this. I sat and thought about it for a while. I think I want to move Canals to S, and the reason why is because again, it survived the test of time. I love the symmetry of it, the weapon placement, you know, being able to have battles on the side versus in the middle. I think it does encourage team-based coordination. for me, it was between Canals and Tyro Station. And part of me felt like if I went back and played Tyro Station, I just thought, would I think it's S tier as much as I may have, like, is it nostalgia kicking in, or do I really think it's like an S tier map? And I mean, I think the train plays a little bit into that, to some degree. It's super fun. And I remember people even glitching out of Tyro Station to be like outside of the tracks and everything. Like, again, don't get me wrong, Tyro Station, that's why it stays at A. But I feel like Canals has I'd rather play Canals more than I would play Tyro Station, because eventually I would start getting killed by the train and start pissing me off. I think this list is probably how I feel like legit about the Gears 1 maps. It's been a while, but Gears 1, like I said, a lot of people, I think you go to Gears 2, Gears 3 for your favorite games, but the Gears 1 maps will always have a special place in my heart. The game in general too, just because there's so many memories and so many just fun things about these maps. And it'd be interesting to see some of these come back, like to see a Tyro Station or, you know, Raven Down come back in Gear 6. I think that'd be pretty cool. You know, again, we got in the Gridlocks and the Canals and even the fuel depots. Just it'll be interesting to see what they bring back versus what we kind of keep in history. But I mean, bring back all of them. It doesn't hurt to have too many maps, I guess. But that's gonna do it for this tier list, guys. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with this? Do you flip it all the way and say, I love Garden? Who knows? You know, let me know what you think. If you like it, give it a like, you know, subscribe, share with your friends. I'm curious to get like kind of the consensus on this. You know, I think now with social media and the internet, like Gears 5, obviously opinions are more out there, but Gears 1 back in the day, it was all party chat or whoever you were talking to. So I'm curious to see what the community feels like about each of these maps. So as always, I appreciate the love and support. Let me know if there's any more tier lists you want to see. I'm happy I found this one because it was really interesting and something I've been really wanting to do for a while. So maybe I'll try to find a Gears 2 or a Gears 3 or 5 or something like that to do next. But as always, guys, thank you for everything, and take care.